Good morning. Or, well, here it's a little closer to the afternoon. But good morning anyway. Good morning. It is a good morning, isn't it? You see the sun is shining. You see it's like so bright. It is shiny. Got a little bit of smog in the air. The mountains don't look as crisp as they normally do, but that's okay. We're still alive and kicking. Today, and I know that I just did a video. I know that video was like just done not so long ago. That video was kind of serious. I want to do something a little more lighthearted today. And what I wanted to talk about is knowing what you're talking about. Not in the sense of, I'm going to go up and I'm going to, like, record a video and I have no idea what my subject is. I don't mean that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is these people who get into an argument. And, my cousin's brothers, sisters, uncles, great aunts, grandma's best friend's neighbor's son's dog once had kidney stones, and he never drank Monster, therefore... it's like, okay, if I have to go through all of these different layers of, all of these people that I once knew, then, why would you bring that up? Because, okay, we've all played telephone. If you haven't played telephone, you're at least familiar with the concept. The concept being that you all get around in a circle, and the first person will whisper something to the second person, and then the second person will whisper something to the third person, and then the third person, always, regardless of who it is the absolute most worst whisperer ever. And so everybody can hear what this person is saying. And so then the fourth person has to completely, they have to pretend that they're, not telling the same thing. And everyone has to pretend that they didn't hear what the third person said because the third person is a brainlet and has 3 brain cells in total. But no, you get the idea. So, everyone whispers all this thing around to one another, and by the time it gets back to the first person, yeah, cool, you said New York cheesecake, that was your phrase. And by the time it gets back to you, it's like Bolivian coffee. And you're like, what? That's not even close to what I said. That's kind of, just how it goes. So it's oh yeah, my dog had kidney stones. I'm going to tell my cousin that my dog had kidney stones. Oh yeah, man, his dog had kidney stones, but I don't think he ever drank a Monster. And then my cousin tells, that to the sister, and then the sister tells that to her brother. Yeah, so the dog had kidney stones, but the dog never drank Monster. Okay? And so, you see what I'm getting at here. So it's yeah, it's cool that, it's cool that your cousin's dogs, grandma's, whatever, had all of these things and was telling you all these stories. Are those stories accurate? One thing that we find, especially when it comes to statistics and to stories with that, getting statistics, it's not super easy, but it can be done. Getting accurate statistics is almost impossible. Getting people to tell you the truth, the actual truth, and not just, oh yeah, so there was this dude, and he was 8 foot tall, and he was super muscular, bro. It's I ran at him, and I picked him up from his waist, and I did that move where you throw him backwards, and in reality, you ran up to him and tripped him, and he was 4'6". He was a little taller than Noob is. That's not, if you're telling something that's inaccurate, what the heck is wrong with you? Now, at this point, you're thinking, okay, cool, what does that have to do with knowing what you're talking about? If you are talking with someone, if you're having a conversation with someone, chances are there's a reason that you're having that conversation, either because you disagreed on something or because that person said something that you found to be just absolutely stupid. Now, I've been on the wrong end of these kinds of conversations at times where I've said something that I believed to be true because I heard it once 5 years ago, and then I'd like never heard it again. And so I like try to regurgitate it, and it's completely false. Like, it's not even outdated information, it's just flat out wrong information. One of the things that I remember hearing people talk about was like medical procedures. I'm not going to list out what that medical procedure was, just because that medical procedure does deal with some things that YouTube doesn't really like people to talk about. But this medical procedure, aside from there, not really being a whole lot of clinical studies to show any kind of support for it, there were a lot of people that were, oh no, this procedure, it definitely has to, you have to accept it, because there are all of these doctors saying it. Well, okay, where's the proof of that? Oh, it just exists. Now, granted, I'm gonna get up and stand up really quick here. It's like 20 degrees out here. My hand is frozen. We're coming out here into the sunlight. Now, granted, you can say, oh yeah, well there's all these medical journals and there's all of these studies on it. Okay, cool. Can you provide any of them? In this particular instance, I was able to provide 3 that I just knew off the top of my head. And I was able to provide those to the conversation. And from what I was hearing from other people was, oh yeah, it's like a medical fad, and medical fads never last super long. They're just fads. To which another person responded, no, it's totally not a medical fad, because my relative had it done. Okay, your relative had it done 20 years ago, at the same time that the other person is saying this is a fad. But because your relative had it done 20 years ago, bruh, it mustn't have been a fad, because she had it done 20 years ago. Okay, cool. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that unless it gets requested anymore. No, bro. We're totally still doing it because, my relative had it done 20 years ago. Okay, 20 years ago versus today. Let's go ahead and assume that we're in the middle of a plague. Holy crap, we are. Let's go ahead and assume that we're in the middle of, the plague, the Black Death kind of plague, the, what is it, Michael Bublé plague, something like that. So let's go ahead and assume that we're in the middle of the plague. And you go to the doctor and you're like, da-dee-da-dee-da, I'm going to go see my doctor because my doctor's so great. You get to your doctor and your doctor's like, yeah, there's demons in your blood. You need to do cocaine. Okay, yeah, sure, thanks, doctor. We don't really diagnose people as having demons in their blood anymore. That's not something we really do. We don't really prescribe cocaine anymore. It's kind of one of those things. You could consider a fad. You can also consider it just bad medicine, because it is. But we don't really diagnose people as, oh yeah, bro, you've got little gremlins in your blood, and they're like these little gremlins, they're running around like little mutant super soldiers, bro. And these little gremlins, they're totally messing with your insides, bro. That's why you've got all this heart plaque. It's because these little gremlins, bro, they die of exhaustion and they get stuck up in there. What? That makes no sense. Not only does that make no sense, there's no scientific evidence or medical evidence to support that. Go try to find me a serious scientific medical essay or paper or research or clinical study or anything to support that. If you can find anything on that at all, send it to me, because holy crap, that makes no sense. And we quit doing that. We quit prescribing people cocaine. It's yeah, I'm gonna go to Starbucks and I'm gonna get 18 espresso shots in my cafe latte. Just do cocaine. At that point, just do crack. We don't tell people, medical doctors aren't just running around telling people, yeah, just go ahead and do some crack. Don't even worry about the espresso shots anymore. Just do crack. We don't tell people that. That's not what we prescribe people, is to do crack. That's what weirdos like me tell their friends whenever we go to the Starbucks, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna get 47 espresso shots, and that's just gonna be the whole drink. That's what we tell them there. And we tell them that because, one, it is funny. Two, Why are you getting 47 espresso shots? Crack will do the same thing for you. But I digress. You have people that'll get into these arguments, and they're so convinced that they're right. And it's like, okay, your grandma's aunt's cousin's brother's best friend's son's daughter's dog was the one who told you the story. That makes no sense. And it makes it extremely unbelievable to me and to everyone else in the conversation whenever you want to tell us about how your grandma's cousin's aunt's whatever, 47 relations down the line was telling you someone else who told someone else. I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend that you've been messing around. Okay. Is there any real proof in that? No, the answer is no. Now, I can already hear people saying, well, what about my own personal experiences, bruh? You know what? Give me just a second. I've got to stretch out my arm here. Personal experiences, the anecdotal evidence, maybe you've got something there. I mean, if you tell me, I was running through the woods and I fell down and I broke my ankle in 2017. Okay, then you broke your ankle in 2017. Cool, great. Now, if you're telling me, oh yeah, bro, I fell down and I completely ripped my foot off in 2020, last week. I just completely ripped my foot off and I was screaming and crying and I was like, oh no, somebody help me. And all of a sudden my foot just magically regrew back. I'm going to have a little bit of a hard time believing that. I'm not going to flat out call you a liar, even though I think you might be one. But okay, that's the anecdotal evidence you want to go with. Okay, then stick to that story. It doesn't mean that I have to believe you. It doesn't mean that anyone else has to believe you. Now, if you're telling me, oh yeah, bro, these aliens came down right over our house, and I remember that you came off the ship, then at that point I know that you're lying. 1. 2, your story is so unbelievable that nobody's going to everyone that hears that, no, you have no idea what you're talking about. One of the things that I see a lot of people upset about is the pew pew issue. You can try to guess what that is. I'm not going to say it flat out just because YouTube doesn't like it. But the pew pew issue, it's an extremely controversial issue. And you've got one side saying, oh, well, they're extremely dangerous, and they'll put a hole the size of a watermelon into a piece of paper. And you've got the other side saying, no, it's only a super duper tiny little hole. It's super duper tiny. Okay. Maybe both are correct, maybe both are wrong, maybe one's correct and the other one's wrong. But is anyone coming at this with real facts, with real evidence, with anything real, any kind of real study? If you've not studied what you're talking about, then why in the world do you think you're some kind of expert on it? Just because your relative 47 translations down the line had that operation done, or your best friend's cousin's whatever went over to Africa and found aliens or whatever? Cool. That doesn't make you an expert on it. That doesn't mean you know what you're talking about. Oh no, bro, you totally don't get it. 'Cause the way that your socks get lost is these gremlins, they totally come up in the middle of the night and they take your socks out of the dryer while they're washing. Okay, have you ever seen that? No. Do you have anything to support that? No. Did you dream it? I mean, maybe. Do you really know what you're talking about? Do you have any idea what you're talking about? If you get into a conversation and you are dead set that what I am saying is fact, then okay, go ahead, make a fool of yourself. But if you're not sure, if you are not 100% sure, or if it's just something, oh, I heard this 3 years ago and I never really looked into it past that, maybe, just maybe, you need to go do a little bit of research on it. For example, the whole medical experience, the whole medical thing. It's okay, well, this was done to my relative 8 years ago. 20 years ago, 47 years ago, last century. Okay, cool. That was done, a long time ago. What we're talking about now is how, that particular medical thing was a fad, and now it's not. Okay, so something that was done 20 years ago, that's enough time for a fad to die out. I mean, remember Jeanco jeans? Anyone remember those? Those big, ugly jeans? Yeah, those were a thing. Remember the poodle skirts? I don't see very many people walking around in poodle skirts. You remember 2008? People were walking around, oh yeah, man, I got my collar popped up because I'm like so cool, and like I'm like even professional people, like not like business people, but it's like, oh yeah, like we're super clean and we're like gonna do like some Christian music, and we've all got our collars popped up because that's the cool thing to do. And we look back on it now in 2018, 2019, 2020, looking back on something that happened 10, 11, 12 years ago, and we look at that and we think, wow, that was really dumb. That was extremely dumb. That was so stupid. Why did we do that? Because the fad died out. So next time you do get into an argument, like, make sure that you've done a little bit of research on it. Make sure that you know what you're talking about. If I went into an argument, or if I went into a conversation, let's say I go into a conversation about nuclear physics, I'm going to ask questions for sure. I'm going to ask, well, okay, how does that happen? What's an ionic bond? What's this proton nerdy stuff that you're talking about? Because I don't know anything about nuclear fission, aside from the fact that it's like deals with like atoms and stuff. That's really all that I know about nuclear fission. Well, okay, bro, but like, you already don't know anything about nuclear fission. That's true. But I did take a chemistry course, and I took a physics course. I took 2 pretty advanced chemics and physics courses. I was horrible at both of them, and I really didn't learn much out of them. But I took them, like, what, 2, 3... about 3 years ago, getting on to 4 years ago. But like, I took it, therefore I have like some kind of like expertise, right? No, I don't have any expertise in that. If you have not actually done a little bit of studying on it, if it's just, oh yeah, my brother's cousin's who's he, what's it, whatever did this like 8 years ago, you really don't have any expertise on it. And if you haven't been keeping up to date with it, you probably don't have a whole lot of expertise when it comes to that being a fad or not. There's a helicopter. I can't see it because of the sun, but I hope that you guys can see it. There's that helicopter flying around. It's like right over this house. I hope you guys can see that. It's a really neat helicopter. That's the closest helicopter that's like flown over our heads in a while. But I digress. It's like if you've not been keeping up on things, how do you know what's going on? For example, a year or so ago, I was reading online, and there was this article, and it was like, yeah, the birthmarks that you have, that's how you died in a past life. Okay. Whatever. I mean, if it was presented as fact, as absolute fact, this is how you died in a past life. Okay. No evidence to support it. Nothing really there to, there was nothing on it. Like, just this one article. This is how you died in a past life. No evidence to support it. No kind of religious text. Nothing. Excuse me. Now, in the comment section of this article, oh my goodness, I have like this circular birthmark on my head. Was I shot? And this other person comes in, nope, you were smitten in the helm. Smitten in the helm. For, in modern English, you're bopped in the head, and you were wearing a helmet. So, was this person shot? Were they stabbed with a pike? Did they get ice picked? How in the world do you know? You weren't there, were you? Are you the one who killed this person in a past life? Probably not. And if you were, I'm not sure you have the mental capacity to just magically know if people are reincarnated or not. So, this whole idea, and you know, and on the topic of reincarnation and religion, if you don't practice the religion, you probably don't know as much about it as you think you do. I'll be honest with you, I've practiced a couple of religions, none as long as the one that I'm practicing right now. So those other religions that I've practiced, yeah, I know a little bit about them. I don't know nearly as much about those as I know about the one that I'm practicing right now. One of the things that I hate seeing is people will come in, no, you don't get it. You practice this religion, therefore this is objectively what you believe. Okay, that is what you've been told we believe, but as we progress, you know, further and further down the timeline, some things will change. Bear in mind this too, especially in America, if we are such an oppressive culture, don't you think some religions have been lied about? Doesn't that make sense? I mean, it does to me. So if you don't practice it, if you don't study it actively, if you've not spent a whole lot of time to studying it and keeping up with it, you probably don't know what in the world you're talking about. Seriously. Regarding the Pew Pew issue, there are a whole lot of people who will come out and tell you, oh, well, this one is so much more dangerous than that one because it's bigger. Okay? Because it is bigger. And I wish that I could get just a little bit further in depth on this topic to make my point hit home a little better. But unfortunately, I can't. I will give you this example, though. Pizza Hut and Domino's. We're not sponsored by either one, but we love both of them. We love one of them a little bit more than the other one. Now, Pizza Hut and Domino's, let's say that I come up and I tell you, yeah, hey, Pizza Hut is like 1,000,000 times better than Domino's. And you've never had Pizza Hut or Domino's. So you go up to your friend and you're like, yeah, Pizza Hut is so much better than Domino's. Okay, have you ever had Pizza Hut or Domino's? No. Then how do you know which one's better? Because my friend Fish told me. Okay, so Fish told you that Pizza Hut is better than Domino's. Was Fish lying? No, Fish never lies. Fish is always right. That's true, guys. I'm always right. But no, Fish is like always right. Okay, cool. But you've never had Pizza Hut or Domino's? No. Okay. Then, like, how do you know if Pizza Hut's better than Domino's? Because Fish told me. Don't take my word for anything. Don't take my opinions to be your opinions. Make your own opinions. If your opinions end up matching up after you've done a little bit of research, then great. Congrats. You're on the team with the right opinions. But if you're looking at everything and, oh, well, I actually don't agree with Fish, then don't agree with me. That is fine. That's perfect. That's how it should be. You should be making your own opinions. Nobody should be making them for you. Now, that said, Domino's is like 100,000 times better than Pizza Hut, but I'm not going to get into that today. That'll be a video for another time. But go ahead and like make your own decisions. We tell our kids, oh, you don't like broccoli. Have you ever tried broccoli? No. Then how do you know if you don't like it? 'Cause it's green. We tell our kids that's a stupid reason for pretending to know something. We tell our kids, you've never tried this. How do you know that you don't like it? And then as we get older, we're like, oh man, I just don't want to try anything new because like I like what I like. And that's fine. You know what you like. You're not claiming that anything else is just nasty. But running around, oh yeah, I know so much about this because my cousin's aunt's who's-he, what's-it's, whatever, 47 translations down the line, completely told me like this totally awesome story. But she told it to me through like 14 different people over the course of like 40 different years. Some of that's been changed a little bit, promise you. Especially when it's just mouth to mouth and none of it's getting written down. Some of that's been changed. Some of that story is coming up as incorrect. And I promise you, you don't know as much about it as you think you do. So that's my rant. That's my angry rant for today, if you will. Do a little bit of study. Research what you're going to talk about. If you know for a fact that X is X and Y is Y, sure, throw it into the conversation. That is great. I mean, if you know for an absolute fact that it is like 20 degrees outside right now, and that my hand is frozen solid to my phone, if you know that to be a fact, throw it in the conversation. But if you're looking at this video and you're like, oh yeah, man, it's totally like a balmy 70 degrees because like because it's sunny and because Fish hasn't mentioned that cat hair sweater from Noobs. I was thinking about the other day, that thing really does scratch worse than a cat on meth. But if that's your opinion, oh yeah, like or that's what you're thinking, I'm just looking at and it's sunny, therefore hot. Do a little bit of research on it. Oh, it's sunny and Fish said it was cold, therefore cold. Do a little bit of research, you know. Do a little bit of research on that claim. You know, come to your own decisions, but bear in mind that your decisions may be wrong. You know, but do a little bit of research before you go spouting stuff as fact. That is one of the things that will make people dislike you faster than a lot of other things. They're going to look at you and they're going to say, you know what? Why are you stupid? Why are you dumb? Why are you putting this out there as fact when there's no proof of it? And they're not going to believe what you've got to say next time. It's kind of like crying wolf, y'all. You're going to cry wolf and this is objectively true. And then you're going to come out and say, well, no, this thing is actually objectively true. And everyone's going to say, yeah, right, Jimmy. We totally believe you, Jimmy. That's whatever, Jimmy. They're going to think that you're irrational. There's a video on that. Go ahead and check that out. But no, yes, this is for real this time. This is the end of the video. For real. That's my angry rant. Do just a little bit of research on things before you go spouting them as fact. Don't take anyone else's anecdotal evidence to be the gospel truth. Don't take your own anecdotal evidence to be the gospel truth, because anecdotal evidence changes from person to person. That being said, I am Fish. I am your captain. As always, goodbye and good luck.